Shipley is not here. Mr. Leon is not. Mr. Lorenzo is not. Mr. Harris.
Here.
Mr. Marinello.
Here.
You would stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sunshine notice?
The meeting has been advertised according to sunshine law.
Any communications?
Not at this time.
Comments by the chair is, I'd like to let all our members know that on September 27th, the planning board for New Jersey gave us an award, an achievement in planning award to the township. So if everybody wants to take a look. So it was an excellent achievement, and Dean and Alex were also in attendance. We should really thank Alex for giving us this. So we must be doing something right if the state's going to recognize us. All right. That's the only comments I have right now. And approval of minutes from September 12, 24. Can we get a motion?
Motion. Second.
Roll call.
Chairwoman Navarado.
Yes.
Mr. Venero.
Yes.
Mr. Vanda.
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
Yes.
Ms. Guami.
Yes.
Mr. Pizzi.
Yes.
Mr. Zangari.
Yes.
Okay, approved.
All right. Our bill list dated October 10, 2024. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Can I get a second? Roll call.
Chairwoman Navarado.
Yes.
Mr. Venero.
Yes.
Mr. Vanda.
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
Yes.
Ms. Guami.
Yes.
Mr. Pizzi.
Yes.
Mr. Zangari.
Yes.
Okay, approved.
Next is resolutions to be memorialized, PB 2410, which is 1 Nicola Place. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Chairwoman Navarado.
Yes.
Mr. Venero.
Yes.
Mr. Vanda.
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
Abstain.
Ms. Guami. Mr. Pizzi.
Yes.
Mr. Zangari.
Yes.
Okay, approved.
New business. This is 2 Cortlandt Street, PB 2401. Are you ready to?
Yes. I'm going to keep it brief. So my name, for the record, is Dean Donatelli. I'm the redevelopment attorney for the township. So some of you on the board will remember in 2022, the year 2022, the township and the planning board declared the entire township an area in need of rehabilitation, and that was based on a recommendation from Mr. Harris and a report that he prepared, essentially saying that due to some of the age of the infrastructure throughout the town, namely the sewer and water facilities, the town would qualify as a area in need of rehabilitation. So what does that mean? So as opposed to an area in need of redevelopment, I'll just clarify. So what that means is every property in town is eligible to have a redevelopment, a rehabilitation plan. Try not to confuse those two words. Rehabilitation plan drafted for it in the event that there's some existing uses that are challenging the rehabilitation. You want to change a commercial use to a residential use, and vice versa. So what you have before you tonight is a rehabilitation plan for properties known as 2, 6, and 8 Cortlandt Street, block 8507, lots 1, 2, and 3. So the board knows this corner better than me, Mill Street and Cortlandt. It's got residential, and Alex Doherty, the township's planner, is here with me. He will be talking more in detail about some of the zoning criteria that's in the plan. But procedurally, this plan was introduced as an ordinance, a rehabilitation plan. It's only a commercial use, it's a rehab of an existing building and expand, it permits the expansion with criteria as to what that expansion should be and improvements of the exterior and so on. But I was just going to say, kind of anecdotally, everyone knows this corner. It's kind of rough on the edges. It's where residential kind of meets industrial, or it's an existing auto body shop happens to occupy the property, and one of the lots is vacant with gravel. So what the role of the planning board is tonight is to determine whether this rehabilitation plan is consistent with the town's master plan. And you obviously have done this before. You can make any other comments you feel want to communicate back to the council before they adopt this rehabilitation plan. I spoke with Mr. Marinello earlier. I think that procedurally what we think is best, or what Joe thinks is best and efficient, is to have the board just authorize Mr. Marinello to draft a letter, correspondence report to the governing body indicating the conclusions of the board tonight. And if you don't have any questions for me, I'm going to introduce Alex Doherty, the township's professional planner.
Why don't you bring up Mr. Doherty?
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. No promises this rehabilitation plan is going to win an award, but for purposes of this site in particular, right on the corner of the Mills and Cortlandt, it's block 8507, lots 1, 2, and 3. There's an existing auto body there. This is in the RB zone. It's unique. It's a carve-out. The RB, for purpose of the zoning, is residential in nature. Permitted uses are residential. So we have an existing use that's not really supposed to be in that zone, but it happens from time to time. When we look at the proximity to the residential dwellings, what's manifested at this site, it's on a prominent corner on Cortlandt and Mills, in that general area here, we looked at this from a rehab standpoint, that we can encourage to kind of spruce this place up, send some positive reinvestment into the site, add a little flexibility to it. That way the use isn't so intensive, add some parameters, some buffing, some screening, enhance building materials, and the likes of that. With that being said, land uses do change from time to time. There once was a day where Blockbuster existed, no longer is there. So with that, when we look at this rehab plan, we wanted to be a little bit more forward-thinking in the approach as well. We do have an existing building that's there today. There might be an opportunity down the road sometime, unknown, where we may see this use gone and something else there. So with that being said, we wanted to kind of entertain the idea of maybe some more small boutique, more neighborhood-oriented commercial retail that would both swell on that corner and not be so intense in the nature of the use itself. Because we do have, for the most part, there is a healthy residential population on this side of town. So this plan really does outline to what extent we can possibly invest into this site and offer some flexibility. So as Dean indicated, the town was designated an area needed rehabilitation, which has many criteria: housing, stock, infrastructure, 50 years and older. That was done in September 8th of 2020, Resolution 20-208. So with that being said, we kind of took that designation as rehabilitation to kind of add some flexibility. And the goals and the objectives of this rehabilitation plan really is preserving and enhancing Cortlandt and Mill Street's identity, stimulating economic opportunity, capitalizing on the geographic advantages of this area in proximity to Route 21, fostering creative design, and really showcasing Cortlandt and Mill Streets with, the essence of the context around the residential and more of the commercial corridor. When we look at this, we have to align this with your master plan and the goals and objectives of that when we talk about what can go there. When we look at potential building requirements, we wanted to encourage enhancements and better material facades. It is pretty dated, antiquated, so if there is going to be an opportunity to possibly invest in the site, we want to see everything really from soup to nuts here improved. So we talk about building materials and enhancements, and in that regards, When we talk about the building itself, if those who are familiar with the site know, it's a really small building, kind of oriented towards Mills. In the back of it, or the side yard, I would say, when you look at the orientation from the public realm, it's a large void. You see a lot of cars and parts and that kind of stuff in the public realm. It really sits on top of housing. So what this plan really is trying to encourage is bringing that indoors, improving the facade all around, enhancing that, and bringing that, for lack of better words, that eyesore indoors. With that, with dumpsters and so forth, we want to see fencing, we want to see buffering between the residential property on Cortlandt. The existing building footprint, when we look at it, if you're on Cortlandt, the rear, it really is kind of on that property line. And when we look at that site and the adjacent neighbors, there is a healthy distance between that dwelling and the actual building footprint itself. So what we're trying to do is encourage that building footprint to continue, square that void off on the side off the Cortlandt, so we can kind of bring this automotive use indoors and enhance that, and have the ability to kind of maybe turn over those cars, maybe add another bay, turn those over and get those cars out of there and back to the customers. So when we talk about permitted uses, again, I talked about the foresight of what we're trying to do. The plan really has a breakdown of two areas. When we talk about the automotive and we talk about essentially adapting the building, the footprint, to more of an office or neighborhood commercial, what we envision from a design standpoint, the large bay doors that are there, we would make those and require those, if it's not an automotive use, to be bay windows, something a little bit more softening and more in line with the neighborhood right there. So for the purposes of the design of the building, if automotive leaves, let's say an ice cream parlor comes in there, or we'll go through permitted uses, those doors would essentially be large bay windows, a little bit more in character with the neighborhood. So for permitted uses, for this rehabilitation plan, automobile vehicle sales within an enclosed building, auto body repair facility, automobile vehicle repair facility, landscaping or lawn care services, electrical services, plumbing services, storage facility, maybe a laundry or dry cleaners, neighborhood commercials such as, but not limited to, ice cream parlors and bakeries, public facilities, office or business, office flex space, or laboratory research and design. When we look at prohibited uses, what we do not want to see there going forward, smokes or vape shops, check cashing, bail bonds, pawn shops, massage parlors, and convenience stores. So we really want to narrow the idea of a retail to more neighborhood-oriented, family-oriented, like I said, not limited to, but ice cream or neighborhood bakery. Again, the existing building is automotive in nature, so we have to recognize that. We're trying to clean that up. When we look at the opportunity here for parking and loading, for some of the breakdowns, there should be a minimum of 2 parking spaces for customers and 2 off-street parking spaces for employees along Mills. The site is limited with the available parking along Mills. There's approximately 5 parking stalls associated with the site. So when we talk about what we could see there, we really want to limit an intense use. We want to capture the neighborhood, capture the vehicle traffic along on Mills. When we talk about some of the buffers for the property here, I believe we're going to be on page 15, I believe. Let's see. I'm sorry, it's going to be on page 10. The buffer requirements. We're going to look at we need from a front yard setback from Cortlandt Street to keep in line with the existing building footprint. It needs to be 15 feet to continue that. Front yard setback on Mills is already existing at 14. The side yard setback, again, that's there. Really, in my opinion, to rear yard is 1 foot from there. The minimum rear yard setback, which is like the adjacent neighbor on Cortlandt, we need 30 feet separation. Impervious coverage, no more than 83% to allow for that adequate buffer between the neighbors. Maximum building coverage would be 50%, and the building height would be 1 story and or 25 feet. So again, for the parking, the site constraints, there's a lot of curb cuts here. The plan, as all of our plans do, has the streetscape improvement standard language in there. So we're encouraging street trees and beautifications along that corner to really accentuate that intersection there. But it's really 1 space per 1,120 square feet of floor area, again, which brings us to that total of 5 spaces. When we look at the streetscape, we're looking for a decorative pavement and landscaping, the flowering cherry tree that's standard, and the various other ones at a minimum of 3.5-inch caliber at a distance of 35 on center. So an aggressive landscape plan along the corridor right there on the corner. And we're looking to really eliminate those curb cuts and the parking outside and the dismantled vehicles. We're not, for the fencing has to be a decorative treated fence. There is no chain link fences to be permitted, barbed wire. So essentially what we're looking at is privacy fencing shall be required when abutting residential. So again, we're going to get that privacy fence there. The landscaping buffer, again, next to that's going to be a 15-foot landscape buffer requirement abutting the residential. And here it says the landscape buffer area needs to be essentially approved by the planning board and consist at a minimum of trees planted at a maximum distance of 15 feet apart. So we want to encourage the planning board to hold any application that may come forward in the future. If they want to expand on this property and possibly reinvest in here, at a minimum 15 feet apart, to really have a healthy buffer here and hedging the use itself. For lighting, we're encouraging, again, to accentuate the corner, vertical floodlights or lights attached to the building, as are decorative sconces or gooseneck lightings are permitted. All lighting should be shield directed towards the site. So we're also asking placements of lighting fixtures within the window frames are prohibited. So we really just want the standard lighting treatments that we typically have in here. We also, just for level safety, all lighting should be provided in accordance with the standards of township zoning ordinance. Lighting shall be located on the building facade abutting Cortlandt Street or Mill Street, and the signage lighting shall be on a photometric dimmer. So we don't want the lights to kind of be on 24/7, but forget to turn them off. So there is a dimmer in that regards. For the building signage, we have a signage layout here. All signs must be flush mounted and project no more than 15 inches. LED or flashing lights or animated signs are prohibited. So we're really looking for more of a classic look here. Mounted roof signs are prohibited, so there won't be anything higher than that 20-foot elevation for height here, protruding from the roof itself in way of signage. We are encouraging illuminated box signs as a permitted sign alternative. Billboards and signboards are prohibited. Window signs should not exceed 20% of the window surface on which the display appears and shall only be located at the base of the window seals. This shall include the signage on the glass doors for the automotive, if there should ever be signs there. We want to keep the signs clean, unison across. If there is an opportunity to see another use come to this site, typically we'll see the signs or posters and windows. We're trying to keep them at the base of the window seals, no more than 20%, so we have adequate glazing and the residents and police, fire, and so forth can see into the site and what's going on in there. For building facade treatment materials and the likes of that, we kind of go over our more strict requirements. No PTAC units in that regards. We're looking for green roof elements, such as but not limited to solar rooftop, rain gardens, or pool roof surfaces shall be installed and approved by the planning board. Garages shall incorporate a decorative garage door that is consistent with the building design, electronically controlled, and marked with bollards. So we don't want to see vehicles hitting these garage doors in that regards. No portion of the building shall have a wall with an uninterrupted length of more than 30 feet. So again, we're trying to encourage breaking up and facade treatments here. Your standard building facade treatment as we've laid out in the past. When we look at this rehabilitation plan and how it meets relationships of the municipality itself and the goals, on page 15, kind of going into page 16 here, we really outline how this plan merits and aligns with these goals. Goal 2 is to continue and encourage a balance of land uses to include diversified residential areas, commercial areas to serve the residents of Belleville and nearby communities, and office/industrial areas that provide jobs and strengthen the tax base. Goal 5B is to provide for the rehabilitation or reconstruction of older non-residential areas to maintain existing jobs and to produce new jobs. Goal 12 is to enhance community appearance in the visual environment, encouraging good design for new and rehabilitated buildings through the proper planning of streets and landscaping of public and private property, and through the use and design review where neighborhoods or business areas are being revitalized. So we do see this area as an opportunity to revitalize. The 2021 master plan, goal 2 as well, we kind of outlined to encourage a balance of land uses and recognize the needs to facilitate the redevelopment of transitioning areas. We kind of see this area as a potential transition area. Just keep going through goal 5B, is a little bit more detail here as well. Again, to attract new businesses and jobs within the industry, and really kind of, again, improving that public realm. Goal 12 really does outline, again, on page 16. This is an infill or redevelopment project. We're not really looking here to overdevelop this corner. We recognize it's an older corner. It's a pre-existing non-conforming use in the RV zone. So we want to encourage positive investment here. When we look at this plan in the regional sense of Essex County here, goal 1, maintain a safe and efficient roadway system. Goal 2 is to increase the use of mass transit. Goal 3, increase and/or provide opportunities for walking and bicycling. And goal 4, connectivity for all modes of transportation. We believe we hit these objectives by encouraging the positive improvement in the public realm, recognizing the corridor, the infrastructure that's really here at the intersection. And when we talk about one day maybe this use not being there, a more smaller boutique use, whether it's our local trades who need a place to have their vehicles so they're not in the residential neighborhoods in that regards, or some kind of small boutique commercial retail for their residents, providing that walkability within the community. At the state level, for the purposes of continuity and consistency here, again, when we look at the overall township, we are what we call Planning Area 1, a PA1 on the state plan, which is responsible for the state's development and redevelopment and the infill here. So we believe we hit the intent of that state plan at a larger level. We have existing infrastructure, accessibility to New Jersey Transit and bus lines. We have number 27, 74, and 109 connecting to the New York metropolitan area right here at this location. So when we talk about, having that ability to kind of capitalize and not encourage more urban sprawl in that regards, recognize this site, encourage, positive redevelopment of the site and investment here aligns with that PA1 narrative for the state plan. And then for your adjacent municipalities, we looked at a few of them. We looked at Nutley. We did look at our neighboring city as well, as far as how it aligns with the North 360 to encourage positive public realm transformation and bolstering a strong economic capital. We believe we align with that. And for Nutley's township master plan, to encourage good design, amenity, and proper landscaping in newer buildings and rehabilitated buildings, preserve, restore, maintain, and enhance the appearance of their township. We believe we align with their vision as well, and it's not going to just detract from theirs. Encourage quality architectural and landscaping designs through the use of design standards. So we believe we merit with the neighboring municipalities. Now, as far as on page 19, we'll lay out the administrative requirements for this rehabilitation plan. We are not going to eminent domain the property. That's not what the rehabilitation plan is. Again, the rehabilitation powers really here outlined to kind of encourage positive investment to the site, add a little bit more flexibility. Again, it's a pre-existing non-conforming use. Anything they would want to do to this property in the future would require variances. They're very limited because, again, this is an RV zone, which is residential more. It's a permitted use here, and not so much the automotive repair facilities. So in essence here, this rehabilitation plan is recognizing the limitations set forth for this use, adding a little flexibility and kind of enhancing these standards. And again, we believe that this rehabilitation plan aligns with the town's objectives, the county objectives, the state objectives, and neighboring municipalities. If there's any questions, I'm here to answer those.
Too bad you can't include a lot across the street with all those.
So we're trying to discourage that. Yeah, we're trying to set precedent that, this area is a transition area, and it does take away from the corner of the neighborhood. Having that outside vehicle storage, I know times were different, but,
It's not
township's
just the
moving forward.
vehicles, it's the containers.
Containers, even some of them, yeah, they don't move.
But is there anything in the plan as far as that area floods? that we can do to improve drainage or something there?
So when the plan does come before the planning board, whatever that plan may be, if they want to expand upon the automotive, if they want to limit the automotive and adapt to reach that building, they would come for a site plan approval, and where the township engineering codes would essentially be enforced, per that site, if there needs to be adequate training. But right now, there's really nothing from an engineering standpoint. I'm a planner. The best language I have is these town codes should be, enforced. So engineering would be something that would be before a site plan review.
Does anyone have?
Just wanted to add one point, just, excuse me, Ray, so I want to clarify something because I can anticipate the question. This redevelopment plan replaces the underlying zoning. So just for everyone's clarity, there's no residential that is permitted here. It's all commercial. The intent is to continue, as Alex said, the existing use. So, but to kind of clean it up,
Right.
just for clarification.
It's a hard sell for that lot to be residential, what's going on across the street, and it's a busy corner intersection, and this is an opportunity to kind of build upon the residential established neighborhood, to provide that neighborhood and so forth with a positive amenity or improvement to this corner.
Yeah, I got a question. Did this property change hands recently, or?
I don't know if it changed hands recently, but I know there's been interest in trying to find ways to improve this property. I don't know.
It's just, I'm trying to follow, why are we going through all this trouble to redevelop one lot? First you're saying, like you want to close in so that you don't see the auto parts, like you have a specific plan for the auto body that's already there, and then you're saying, we got all these other uses. Which one is it?
So I think we want to add a little bit of flexibility and bandwidth into this site. Automotive is not necessarily ideal. If I'm not mistaken, and I'll refer to Dean on this one, I think this was an intricate part of the old Belleville Hall and that automotive use. We don't want to see that automotive use continue in the manner that it did off of Valley Road. If we're familiar with that, I think this was a larger way to develop that site, and I'm not sure if they're the owner.
So someone has expressed an interest in this particular property. So in order to give some flexibility as to the potential to improve it and expand it, if you look at the last few pages of the plan, there's a concept of what that might be. We don't know because this isn't the planning board hearing a site plan. But yes, to answer your question, Mr. Venero, it hasn't changed hands, but there's been interest in this property, and in order to kind of facilitate its potential, improvement, the town's trying to work with that.
And no residential?
No.
Gotcha.
It's a hard corner for residential. Even if they knock the building down.
We put places, harder places than that, believe me.
Rich?
Yeah, I know several years ago, they came before the zoning board and got approval to add on to their business there. That was approved.
Did they ever do it?
They never did it.
Never did it.
So I can clarify that. Again, this is just really changing the zoning. If they were to go back, they would be protected by their site plan approvals under the municipal land use law or the zoning approval. If they wanted to proceed with that, they would need to confirm that they're pre-existing, non-conforming use. This would be a new option if they wanted to abandon those old approvals, which I'm sure the board has seen before.
Expired.
Yeah,
It's expired.
or it may have expired as well, so.
Question?
I have one. Alex, what's the total lot area?
The total lot area for these three lots, I believe it's a breakdown. I'm looking at a lot area of, well, this is a minimum requirement, 11,500 square feet. I would have put 11,500 square feet because it's probably just south of 11,600.
Yeah, and the reason I was asking is, it seems that it's intended to be one use.
Yes.
On this site.
We don't want to subdivide that void off.
Right, okay. I just wanted to make sure, it's because 11,500 is a pretty decent sized lot. It could be these three lots together.
It does. It is just above. I did the minimum so you couldn't subdivide off that requirement. Yeah.
Then, page 11,
Yes.
letter B.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it.
Is it 2?
It's 2.
It's 2.
It's 2.
For people who aren't looking at it, at letter B, it says there shall be a minimum of
I
1
paused when I read,
parentheses, 2 parking space. So it should be 2 parking spaces.
Because we have 5, so we want to provide for customers as well as the employees to have, so they're not parking up in the street.
I have yet to come across a 30-page document that doesn't have at least 1.
Yeah.
So not making any comment on your
Actually, the street is,
streets are correct.
it says Cortlandt. Should have it too.
That one I can't excuse for you.
Apologies.
What street are we rehabilitating?
Yeah.
With
Corner.
We need a T at the end.
We need a T.
I missed that. Apologies.
Get that in before the mayor and council vote on it. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that there's no subdivision and it's 2 spaces. Let me just. I think that's all I have.
I think one of the things that, for the purposes of this, really is to bring the automotive uses inside, encourage them to have an opportunity to take the work and finish it and not store it with the 1 bay limitation. The 15-foot buffer screening, the required plantings, the required streetscape improvement, and the overall building design. And then again, have that foresight to say, maybe like the old wet site, maybe there might be something small, commercial oriented for the neighborhood that would go there in its existing footprint, but nonetheless, we want to clean it up and soften that non-compatible use between residential and automotive.
I can add one thing, if I may. This just, we're not there yet, but in the event that a site plan application is going to come before you, that redeveloper will have to sign a redevelopment agreement. And in that redevelopment agreement, we would confirm the things that Mr. Marinello was stating. There'll be no subdivision, we're going to fix that, we'll fix that's kind of all of us. We'll clean it up, but yeah, we'll clarify that it's going to be 1 use and 1 building and so on.
Any other questions, Councilman? No? All right, we'll close this portion. All right, portion's closed for the board. Is there anyone in the audience have any questions? Mr. Frantantoni, come above. If you would state your name and address for the record, please.
Vincent Frank D'Antoni, 129 on Prospect Ave, Belleville. I have a couple of questions. First of all, I'm glad to hear no residential. That'll come to be, that's happy for that. Are you aware of the history of that area?
So what I said.
In fact, do you know it's a flood zone?
Most of that down there after the valley, I do know it's a flood zone, yes.
I mean, there's been some serious flooding.
21 years.
Was that taken into account when you considered it?
Well, that's one of the reasons why we try to stay from residential. It's not good planning practices to put residential dwellings in a flood zone. And when we looked at that building footprint, we wanted to kind of get through those environmental concerns indoors as well.
The other question is the non-pervious area. You've got 83% for that area. Would you think it should be more?
No, I wouldn't want to put any more impervious hardscape.
No, I'm saying more pervious area.
Do I want to make it more?
Yeah, because of the flood area,
Well, I don't, but I will say with engineering practices in that regards, I'm not an engineer, but if they were to come in here and try to enhance these standards, they would have to put in some engineering components. I'm sure everyone's familiar with flooding and try to capture that. But as far as impervious coverage, whether it's the roof itself and the leaders capturing that with vehicles that are being put out there, there is a disservice with kind of what's happening there from landscaping and vegetation in that regards. I visited the site several times. The back of that void, isn't necessarily concrete itself, but with the grass and the rocks and filling in vehicles, it might as well be concrete. You know, so we want to just kind of circle that in for the course.
All right. Another thing, I don't know if you're aware, a while back, short while back, around the corner, is familiar with the street back of the Terrace Place?
Yes.
Right. The town just sold 2 lots on Terrace Place, which I believe abut this property. Are you aware of that? So
I know the Terrace West, I do not know the sale or where those properties are.
there's 2 lots, I believe it was 5 and 7 or 5 and 9, lot 9. But I believe they actually abut the property there. The one lot is the second lot from the corner, and the other one, I believe, is the fourth lot. And I believe they abut this property.
So the second one would, if what you're saying is true, the fourth one would not.
And the reason I question that is that Donatello said that someone, a developer has an interest. Are they planning to combine those 2 lots they just bought with this one?
Well, they would have a unique issue in that regards because this rehabilitation plan really calls these 3 lots out specifically. I do not know of any interest to acquire those lots. Those lots were not included here. This rehabilitation plan really just stays with these 3 lots. If they were to acquire that and move forward on that, those lots are in the RB zone and they have a separate zoning, so I think it would be some difficulties from a development and an application standpoint.
Well, that's my concern, because I believe Terrace Place where there is residential.
It is, yes.
It's allowed.
That whole area, yes.
Right, so my concern is, been here a lot, seen a lot of things going on. If he combines the 2 lots and then goes before the board and uses Terrace Street as the main address and claims it's residential.
So, I'm not the attorney who would file that application or to review it. I would say that that would still be a split zone application and those lots would be used for the principal purpose of an automotive or a retail or kind of a blue collar storage facility, which would constitute, in my opinion as a planner, a D1 use variance, and that would go before your zoning board. And depending on the rehabilitation.
Just if I can help respond to that question. Mr. Frantantoni, I understand your concern, which is why we made it abundant that this rehabilitation plan actually protects against what you're afraid of. And when I say that, I mean, if those lots adjacent to this lot, these subject lots, were to be part of a application, this plan would need to be amended, and it would have to start over again. We're not aware of any of that. What we are aware of is that someone is interested in improving this property, potential expansion of the existing use, non-conforming use. This makes it conforming under this plan, or continuation of the commercial use. I know where you're going, but a significant amendment would have to be applied for and approved by the council, and then start over again before this board, for what you're concerned with.
Well, as soon as I said that was my concern.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I question when the town sold them, I said, who would want to buy 2 lots? First of all, there's a house between the 2 lots. And who would want to buy it in a flood zone? But now I see this, that was my concern. I just hope the planning board's aware of that, we've seen a lot of things go on, 58 years of doing this, and I don't want to use that address as a residential area. So keep that in mind. Thank you, sir.
Is there anyone else that has a comment? Mr. Shelton, please come up.
A second, I'm dealing with a knee injury. Good evening, everyone. Michael Sheldon, 47 Floyd Street. Still very confused about what's really going on here, and I'm going to be piggybacking upon Mr. Venero's concerns and suspicions in a moment. But first, it was asked by one member of the board, I forget which one, if there's been any recent change in ownership of this property. I think you may have asked that question. And Mr. Donatelli said that there is another party who is potentially interested in some new development for this property. So surprise, surprise, did the Googling and discovered that the property did change ownership last year. The LLC that now owns the 3 lots, 2, 6, and 8, is the name of Mr. Bander's, probably smart, because he probably got copies of my email that I sent out about to some members, but the name of the LLC is BV Trade One LLC, right? BV, B as in boy, V as in Victor, Trade One LLC. So, more Googling, and found out that they're operating out of the UPS post office box in Secaucus, the same old famous, infamous UPS store, box 191. And who's using that? Well, you may remember here on the board, you recently dealt with Belleville Ventures 2, Belleville Ventures 3. Those 3 LLCs all were created in rapid succession. They also are all operating out of the same post office box. I imagine that is one gigantic post office box at that UPS store in Secaucus. But you also recently approved a redevelopment plan, not a rehabilitation, a redevelopment plan for that LLC's interest on Washington Avenue, which is the old Belleville Hall with the Elks Club. And you approved, and the town hall's already given it the green light, along with a pilot tax abatement, to put up, I believe it's over 70 residential units on the Washington Street side, next to where the Cosarelli funeral home will soon be replaced by Mr. Tiflinski and Premier Developers, and across the street where the Board of Ed is going to put up a shared municipal parking garage.
Can I interrupt you for one
I
second?
know, I'm digressing.
I know you're on a roll, but
Right.
those are not the lots, right? This is.
No, but the entity that is now that owns the
Other
next
lots.
property is already planning to put up a large mixed-use residential.
Well, you don't know that. You know that they own the lots.
They own the lots, yes.
You're assuming they're gonna come put a large
Well,
residential, but we don't know. That's not in front of
all
us.
right, well, all right.
Secondly, because, and we go through this a lot, you and I, Michael,
Right.
let's raise your right hand and get you sworn in.
Oh, yeah,
because
that's
you're not really
testimony.
asking
All
a
right.
question.
All right. well,
You
let's make sure.
swear the testimony you shall give tonight on this application, I guess I'll call it, shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing
I
but the
absolutely
truth.
do.
Okay,
Always.
I want to get it in properly.
So, Mr. Venero was asking questions about what really might be the intention here. This rehabilitation plan, inherent to it is a 5-year tax break, where the
Is that in
first
this
year.
document?
Well, that's the rehabilitation ordinance, which I believe covers what was included at the beginning of the documents that were submitted. But the rehabilitation ordinance is approved by it actually had 3 different pieces, but the part that is relevant to most developers is part 3, which says that new construction and that's considered rehabilitation has no taxes due in the first year on the improvement value, only 20% of the tax rate in year 1, in year 2, 40% year 3, etc. So the first question is the real goal here in giving this auto body shop, if it remains an auto body shop, a benefit of that 5-year tax break, even though it's not really technically new construction. Is that one of the reasons why they're looking to declare this a rehabilitation zone? Because if the property was flipped, it was sold to someone else, and they came in and either said, well, it's an RB zone, we're going to subdivide and put in residential, but they would be entitled to that 5-year tax break. So why is a possible 5-year tax break being granted to a existing, I know it's not conforming, but it looks like if you guys approve this rehabilitation plan, right out of the gate, the applicant gets access to that 5-year tax break, which is fine if he's going to use that to actually improve the appearance, the aesthetics of the existing structure. So,
Well,
I think Mr. Vander could explain how the rehabilitation works.
Well,
They don't
first,
pay on the improvement, but they won't pay any less than they're paying right now.
I mean, let's back up a little bit. I mean, the whole town
Right.
is a rehabilitation area. So anybody who rehabs their home or does an expansion on their business, they can apply for it, right, Dean? they can apply for it, and the abatement is only on the portion, the added tax, right? The added tax on the improvements. I mean, if your improvements were already 100,000 and the addition you're doing is gonna make it now 200,000, the abatement's only on that additional 100,000, right? So this plan isn't even needed for them to be able to apply for it, because the whole town is a rehab area.
And
This is a specific plan because half of this area is in a residential zone and the other half is that, the auto body shop already. It's split, right? So if you expand that use, the current use of the building, if you expand the building without that, it becomes a D variance. You're intensifying a non-permitted use, so you can't do that. This is facilitating that. That's all this plan is doing, is allowing the new user to expand the commercial use of the property without having to jump through hurdles.
And thank you for that explanation, but I want to add, notwithstanding all of that explanation, that's not what they're here for. They're here for a review of whether or not this plan is inconsistent with the master plan or the re-examination of the master plan. So I'm not familiar with that particular tax issue that Mr. Sheldon, I'm not the borough attorney, so I'm not aware of it. You may very well be right about, you know, if they expanded the non-conforming use, that they would be entitled to a tax abatement of some kind. But that's, not only am I not aware of it, but it's not germane to what we're talking about tonight. So that's something really that should be addressed with the authority that gave them the tax abatement, which would be the mayor and council. But I didn't mean gave them, but I mean gave properties that had rehabilitation, development, that tax break. That wouldn't be something that would come before us.
I just think it's important to let the public know that it's not any less money that they're paying right now. Like Brian said, it's just the improvement. So someone else, if they're paying $25,000 now, the new owner's gonna pay a minimum of $25,000. And if he improves it, then he doesn't pay the tax, the full tax, 5 years on the improvement portion. So the town, it's really a win-win for the town. They're getting properties improved, not getting any less money, and in 5 years, they get what they would've got anyway, so.
I just wanted to make sure that the clock wasn't being reset back to zero, and that the owner was going to be treated as though he was brand new in the neighborhood and was going to be granted the full panoply of the 5-year tax break. And that's been addressed, and my concerns have been resolved in that matter. But there is no guarantee. Yeah, there is no guarantee that this property, these 3 lots, will remain as an auto body center. It could very well be the case a year from now, 2 years, 3 years from now, the property could be sold or converted into some other use, which may or may not require appearances before the zoning board for D variances. But there is, I just want to be certain, there is no guarantee as of tonight that this property remains an auto body shop.
Oh,
That's right.
Yeah, nothing is a guarantee. And we also listed exactly what can go there. So it's going to be nothing that is,
Your approval is not conditioned on the property remaining an auto body service. You're just considering declaring it a further area of need of rehabilitation. And your approval is just winds up with a recommendation letter that Mr. Marianello will then pen and send to the council, and it's up to the council in the end to make that declaration.
The council will vote on this at presumably the next meeting after I send them the letter. And then those uses, which are permitted uses on page 9 of it, would be uses that fall within this rehabilitation plan. And if somebody wanted to come and do something other than that, they would be off to the zoning board to get a D1 use variance, whatever that is.
Okay, all right, thank you for your time tonight. Just another thing to add to my ever-growing pile of things to watch here in Belleville. Thank you.
all right, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to say anything? Any questions? All right, I'm going to close that portion.
So,
You're up.
Madam Chair, we've done this on a number of occasions before for redevelopment plans, rehabilitation plans. I think this is the first rehabilitation plan before me. But what we would do typically at this point is make a motion to authorize me to send a letter to the mayor and council advising them that we reviewed it, had a full hearing on it, and that we believe it to be consistent. Haven't heard anyone mention anything that they would want included in it or not included in it. You know, remember in the past, we've had a couple times where we took something out of the permitted uses, but otherwise I would just need a motion and a second to authorize me to send that letter to the council.
I motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Chairman Narado.
Yes.
Mr. Nero.
Yes.
Mr. Vanda.
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
Yes.
Ms. Gorman.
Yes.
Mr. Busy.
Yes.
Mr. Zandari.
Yes.
Okay, approved on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. You guys.
Go Yankees.
All right, next we have the applications before the board, which is PB 2414, which is 35 Frederick Street. Are you ready to proceed? Okay. Mike, please. State your name.
Good evening, Erica Edwards. I'm a land use and zoning lawyer here in New Jersey, representing tonight here for the Belleville Township Planning Board, Danny Verdugo, who is the owner of 35 Frederick Street. That is otherwise known as Block 1401, Lot 40 on the official tax map of the Township of Belleville. We are an existing two-family structure. You may know that because we were recently before you, not me, but Mr. Verdugo and others were recently before you to bless, if you will, an existing two-family.
In front of the zoning.
My apologies. Thank you for that clarification. Before the zoning board for official approval of that existing two-family structure. We are back tonight before a different board, the planning board, for preliminary and final site plan approval and any variance relief required to add a third unit to this existing structure. We are not changing the footprint in any way. We have consulted with a structural engineer about the building's ability to handle a third unit, if you will. And we have included that letter from the structural engineer in our application materials that we submitted to you. So we're here tonight to present our plan for a third unit. We have one expert witness, our architect, our project architect, Stephanie Fleck, to my right, and one fact witness who is the owner, Mr. Verdugo, just to her right. So with your permission, I'd like to have them both sworn and then qualify Ms. Fleck, and then we'll start with her, but then Mr. Verdugo can supplement or answer any questions from the board along the way that maybe Ms. Fleck, would defer to him.
I have to remember to put this on, otherwise Mr. Frantantoni always reminds me about how I went to school and didn't learn how to turn on a microphone.
Thank you.
So let's start with Ms. Fleck. Am I saying it correctly? Please raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you shall give on this application shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, give us your name and business address for the record.
Stefania Fleck. The name of the business is Sketch This.
Why don't you come on over to this microphone, because I can't catch anything.
Sorry. It's very frigid in here.
Yeah.
My name is Stefania Fleck. The name of the business is Sketch This. It's located in Paramus, 68 Heaven Lane, New
Okay.
Jersey.
And Mr. Verdugo, is that it?
Yes.
Please raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you shall give in this application shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, let's try and start with the architect, and hopefully he can jump in at the end. If he has to jump in between, that's fine, but try and keep it to a minimum because it's hard for the court reporter to keep everything straight.
Just can I get this for your spelling of your last name?
Fleck.
Have you testified before this board before?
No, I haven't.
Okay, would you ask her a few questions on her license and such?
Would you please put your educational and employment credentials on
business, which is Sketch This. And I also work in New York for Skidmore, Owen, and Merrill.
Say that again?
Skidmore, Owens, and Merrill.
Thank you. Where did you get your degree in architecture?
Columbia University,
And when was that? What year?
2007.
And you were licensed as an architect in the state of New Jersey?
Correct.
And also in New York?
And also in New York.
Very good.
Have you testified in front of planning and zoning boards in the state?
No, I haven't.
Well, we won't bite. Well, most of us.
I hope so. Okay.
All right, I'll accept that.
Thank you, appreciate that. So Ms. Leck, would you, I know we have your drawings on the board. Would you like to proceed over there, take the microphone with you and walk us through the drawings that you produced from Mr. Trujillo's project? Just pull it up.
Let me turn this. Unlike others from my generation, I like paper. So this is the current state of the property. It's a two-family, it's approved as a two-family, and we're proposing to turn it into a three-family. So like Ms. Edwards mentioned, there's no change in the footprint. We're just adding a third floor to the existing property. There's 2 units there, 2 bedrooms each. So the third one would be a studio. And along with this, we're also proposing a revival of the property itself. So we're going to be updating the siding. Let me get it. We're going to be updating the siding to a batten board. Also, each unit has its own exit, so these 2 doors and the third door for the other unit. We're trying to bathe through the new colonial revival to obey the zoning, the Silver Lake residential zoning requirements. Also, right below the height, so this third floor does not go above the approved height for zoning. So, also for lot, I believe it's as 3,500. We have a lot of 5,676. The width is an ask of a minimum of 35. We have 43, and the depth of 100. We have 129. All the setbacks are currently existing as we're not changing the footprint. As for lot coverage, it's about 80 to 20%. Currently it's 75 to 25. We're also not changing that. The max height, as I mentioned, 35. The existing 20, we're going below the 35, and we're adding this unit. We're also providing additional parking, a fence in the front of the property, redoing the sidewalk, adding a tree. The sidewalk will have a fence that's also conforming to the Silver Lake. And we're also proposing changing the facade of the garage also to match the existing, not the existing, but the new design of the front of the house with also the batten board metal siding. And also permeable pavers through the existing driveway, which is currently asphalt, and it's kind of breaking a little bit. So that will be replaced by permeable paving and as well on the back. The refuse storage area is also going to be in the back, concealed from visibility. And I think that's it. I don't know if there's any questions.
Are there any bulk variances that you're asking for?
No.
Do you know of any? I didn't see any noted in your report.
This is like design standards, which are very difficult to interpret anyway, so if we like the way it looks, then we like the way it looks.
You know it when you see
That's
it.
the easiest way to interpret those for everybody on the board.
see that it says variance for the Silver Lake District design standards.
That's what I just said. They're very difficult to interpret.
We want to specify it.
Huh?
Don't we want to specify that they conform to the Silver Lake District materials, or?
It's an architectural thing.
It's an architectural thing, right? So it's kind of taking historic cues from like the brick and the decorative cornice of the area and decorative window trims and things, the older buildings that make up
Right.
Silver Lake, right? So there's a few different styles that we put in there. Batten board I don't think is a part of that style, but it's also a very nice look, right? It's definitely nicer than what's there. So if you guys want them to go over to brick, they gotta go over to brick. If you like the batten board, they stay at batten board.
Is that the only thing that's different about
What's
this
the
one?
batten board made out of?
It can be metal or it can be wood.
Proven materials, so.
It could be metal or wood?
Metal, wood, it could,
Well, metal is like what, like aluminum siding?
it's not aluminum.
No, I believe it's part of one of the materials that's allowed in the Silver Lake. It's either wood
One of the,
or, yeah. The roof is also metal, the new roof for the porch that we're proposing is
decorative,
metal.
yeah. You can't have an asphalt roof facing the street. So just trying to use higher quality materials in this way.
Another question.
It's difficult to explain the
No,
architectural
I mean,
pieces of
if you
it.
think it's acceptable, the design.
I think it looks very nice. I don't know if the rest of the board thinks it does. If you think different
Oh, I
materials
know,
should be
I live
used.
on Frederick Street, I know, the house is horrible. And my one concern is, that you
I
said
didn't say he did.
you had a structural engineer, because the house looks like it's falling down.
Yeah, that's
Then
why
it
we call it
support a
structural
third
engineer,
story?
yeah, and we did a probing and we checked that the
Because
foundation
I know, I guess
was
at the
okay.
beginning of the summer, some renovation went on, it was like, started to be gutted, and then you guys stopped. I was wondering what was going on. So maybe you found something you didn't like, but
Yeah.
I would just hope that it's structurally sound to support a third floor.
Because it's gotta be over 100 years old.
You know what year it was built?
So, yeah, put it in here somewhere.
The one I have over there is 1897.
1927, yeah, 1927.
1927.
Tom, do you have any engineering concerns?
That's it for me.
It's a nice piece of property. It's a big driveway, fit a lot of cars. It's actually, the number of bedrooms, what, 5 total? 5?
Like what, I'm sorry?
5 total bedrooms?
She said.
Yes.
Smaller than the average two-family, so I mean, there's more parking than the average two-family.
I love the parking. You walk the street and you're contained, and I think it's great in that area. So I don't have a problem.
It's an easy one for me.
Anyone else have any questions? All right, I'm going to close this portion. Does the audience have any questions about this building? Mr. Sheldon?
Good evening again, Michael Sheldon, 47th Village Street. Mr. Vanda actually just answered one of my questions. I wanted to confirm that this was part of the Silver Lake residential zone, so thank you for that. The building as it exists right now appears to be one story with a basement apartment. Is that,
It's customary in that area.
but it's a legal basement apartment?
zoning board made it legal.
The zoning board meeting, okay, right before my days. Thank you. All right. So it's illegal.
Actually, you were there when we presented.
Really? I don't
This
remember.
is recently, it's like maybe a year ago, so.
Oh, I've been off the board for 3 years now, so it may have been in the
That's what I
audience. But, okay. All right. Thank you. So it's a legal basement apartment. It's been discussed that the third unit, proposed unit, is going to be a studio apartment. And Mr. Banda mentioned a moment ago that it's a total of 5 bedrooms. Because this is a Silver Lake residential zone, do they need only three parking units for 3 units?
And they have way more than that, so yeah.
What is that total? I just wanted to know for my edification.
The way that ours does, so they have two that pull to the side, two that pull in the garage, right? But you're allowed to do tandem in the residential district up to 3, right? So if there's, they can even fit some in front of the garage, and that still counts towards parking. So they can fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
The owner has.
Right, how many can you fit?
I think Mr. Venera can testify, the driveway is wide enough to where you can actually park on the side of the house and still have plenty of room to, leave the property. So actually, you can park right next to the house and still have enough room to, basically exit. It's a big truck.
I think his question was how many spots?
How many spots? We're gonna habilitate actually 5, not including the garage.
So
We're not
5
gonna use
two
all
with-
of it.
5 with 2 cars.
Yes.
Is it
They-
two-car
they-
garage?
That's a pleasant change.
Yeah, that's
I'm sorry,
seven.
two-car garage?
Yeah, so
Score
Which
bar,
question
yes.
should I take down? There were
One
like
for
4.
it. All right, go ahead, Jack.
No, he confirmed, it's a two-car garage.
It's a two-car garage.
So total of, theoretical total
Seven.
of 7 parking spots and only 3 required. Okay, thank you. That is a pleasant change for the better.
This is a nice plan.
The only other thing I wanted to say, I'm at the microphone and have your attention, you mentioned at the beginning of the evening that the planning board won an award.
Yes,
Is that going to be posted to the township website with details?
I don't know if it's going to be posted, but I will,
If not, can I just have, I would like to have a copy of it?
Sure.
Because when I post the video of tonight's video, I try to be as fair as possible, even though some of you may not think that's the case, but if there was an award given to the planning board, when I post the video, I'd like to be able to
Yeah.
attach the link to if Corinne has a
And
copy
New
of it.
Jersey planning officials.
Yeah,
gave
the planning
them-
officials
gave
gave
the
an award
So-
for Alex's redevelopment plan for the Casarelli Funeral Home.
So it may be available on the NJPO
Yes.
site.
it might be.
Sorry, I'll look here, if I
It
can, I'll
did.
ask.
It did take place September 27th, so I'm going to imagine New Jersey Planning Board has it posted by now.
I hope so, even though.
Yeah. But I'm sure we're going to have it, because this is a nice accomplishment, so,
It was for what?
You know-
Preserving classical architecture?
yes.
I don't have 100% confidence in the NJPO for the following reason. I took the exam, the required exam when I was on the zoning board back in 2015, and despite multiple emails to them since that time, to please put my name there, even though I know there's not a snowball's chance I'll ever be on another Belleville board again, but in any case, it's been
Yeah.
10 years, and they still haven't put my name on the list of individuals who passed the required testing.
They probably haven't put this award up in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. It will make it eventually, I'm sure.
Okay, all right, thank you, that's it.
I would like to see it for sure, because this is one of the first that we've ever had. So,
Well, despite all my adversarial relationships with the zoning board in recent times, if there is an award here, it should be posted. So I hope that effort was made to recognize your accomplishments. That's it for me, thank you. Thank you.
any other questions? All right, I'm going to close this portion. So, I guess we're going to pass a resolution.
We need a motion.
So,
Motion in a
yes,
second.
can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call, please.
Chairwoman Notarada.
Yes.
Mr. Venero.
Yes.
Mr. Vanda.
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
Yes.
Ms. Guaman. Yes. Mr. Pizzi.
Yes.
Mr. Zangari.
Yes.
Okay, approval. Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
all right, can I get a motion for the adjournment? And we will see everyone November 14th.
I'll make the motion.
Can I get,
Second.
great, all in favor?
That's all we had to do, one time.